Hello, everybody out there. My name is Las Dambuzu, and I'm a Nigerian. And I'm shooting this video to tell you about my plans for the rest of my life. Well, actually, as I said, I'm sorry, it was a network problem. I'm a member of All Progressive. I'm sorry, Astaghfirullah. I'm a member of People's Democratic Party, PDP. So we've recently lost an election to the ruling party, All Progressive. So there are so many things that are very important in our lives. Recently, I read several books. I read this. This is The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And after this, I'm going to read this. And you can see I have a lot of books to read. Look at them here. This is my office. These are the set of books that I all want to read. And I have a reason that I must read these books, because knowledge is in the books. And even leaders that fail is because they fail to read books. If you fail to read books, definitely you are going to fail in everything you face in your life. So in this book, there's a kind of comparing and contrasting between the way the poor people see life and the way the rich people see life. Let me give you an example here. According to the author, that is Robert T. Kiyosaki, he said he had two fathers, the rich and the poor, and these two fathers are all successful in their careers. One was a learned person, and the other one was not even able to finish his grade 8, while the learned one was able to achieve a PhD degree. So when it comes to success, they were all successful. Meanwhile, the rich one died leaving tens of thousands of US dollars to his family, to his church, and even charity, while the other one died and left debt. He left bills to be paid. So, and the other one will always say this to his people, that the reason why I have you kids is the reason I'm poor. He always blame himself being poor for having kids, while the other one will always say the reason why I have to be rich is because I have you, my kids. So he always see his kids as a reason why he must be rich. So if you think you are poor because you have kids, it's better you begin having a second thought. I think having those kids should be a reason for you to think of how to be rich. And how do I get rich? There are so many things. When my kid come to me asking me, Dad, please buy this thing for me. Dad, I want a new ride. Dad, I want a new cloth. Dad, I want this and that. Now, according to the author of this book, he says, whenever you say, son, I cannot afford that, so you automatically hibernate your brain from thinking of how to be rich, meaning you are going to die poor. You know what you're supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is, the moment challenges like this come to you, instead of you to conclude that you cannot do this, why not you think of how to do it? Now, when your kid come to you asking you, Dad, please buy this book for me. Supposing you don't have the money, you don't have the means, just think, how can I buy this book? Just begin thinking of how to buy the book. Dad, buy that ride for me. It's good for you to begin thinking how to buy the ride. So by the time you begin thinking of how to, then you automatically engage your brain, and in the end of the day, you are going to have a way out. So you always think the people that you see as rich people, they are rich because their brains can work. They work hand in hand with their brains to get rich. Your hard work, your physical hard work cannot get you rich, but your brain can get you rich. And the reason I'm saying this is I'm going to give you just a little assignment. Go outside. Just look at your surrounding. The people that work harder are paid less. The people that work with their brains are paid high. Go to your company. What is the salary of the average laborers that we call unskilled labor? That they work with their energy, physical energy. Now, what is the salary of those that just think and make decisions with their brain? So always work with your brain to get rich, to earn money. Do not always rely on your physical energy. Had it been, physical energy is the key to success. Donkeys could have been richer than all of us in this world. Okay, then another very important, according to this book, is that you should always learn to take risk. Some people remain poor because they are afraid of taking risk. If you can take risk, you can get rich. Sometimes I have this money. Sometimes I have this as my last card, and I don't want to lose it. And somebody that have half of this, he may invest it, and he may gain tens of this. Meanwhile, I keep this, and it remains this. And by the time I spend this, and I go back to zero. Let me give you an example. Recently, there was an online business that I was introduced to. Without having a second thought, I embraced it. And I was like, why not I introduce this to my colleagues, my place of work, so that we can all benefit together? As I was introducing it to them, and they were like, wow, this is calm. We can't afford to lose our head earning. We cannot take this risk. And in the end of the day, I made a lot of money out of that online business. Meanwhile, nothing for them. Why? Because I told them, in life, a person that took risk, in fact, I told them that it is risk not to take risk. So if you are afraid of taking risk, then you are at risk. But a person that always learn to take and manage risk will always be ahead of someone that is afraid to take risk. If I take 3 risks and I was consumed by 2 and the third one yield, can you compare me with the person that failed to take any of these 3 risks? So a risk man is always richer. A person that takes risk is always rich and ahead of a person that is always afraid of taking risks. Then there is something very important that you should know. Here, I'm making this video from Kano City in Kano State, Federal Republic of Nigeria. What I'm trying to tell you here is that people in Kano will always think of having a house first. Many of them will not get married until they were able to build their house or purchase a built one. Unlike myself, that I'm from Katsina State, in most cases, most of us from Katsina State, most especially those of us that are working in public service, we're always thinking of using government apartments first, and later, maybe at the end of our career or somewhere halfway, we think of having houses. According to Robert Kiyosaki, your house is a liability. So there are other things that are more important than house. If you have a house, you pay tax, you pay bills, you pay this, maintenance, this and that. It's a liability and it's not yielding anything in monetary terms. So it's better that house that you, or let me put it this way, it's better those money that you saved to build this house, why not invest the money into a sector that will be yielding instead of you just having the house and staying inside the house? You can rent a comfortable apartment, invest the money somewhere, out of the money, be generating something to be paying for the rent and having something extra. Okay, let me tell you this story. I saw this person. Well, it is here in Kano, even though he's not a Kano indigene. He had a good house. And what he did was, instead of him to stay inside that house of his, he rented out to someone else. And among the reasons why I guess he did that are, number one, the maintenance of the house is something bigger than his earning. So instead of that, to sit in the house and fail to maintain it, and in the end maybe the house may get dilapidated, he rented a house smaller than that one. He will always collect the money from the person that rented his house. He's always collect the rent money and pay for the one he rented, and he will get something extra. And that extra, he will use it for another thing. And plus, the person that rented his house is rich and he can maintain the house. It's just a tiny example. So I think I'm stopping for now. This is the end of this video for now. So I'm gonna come back with a brand new video next time. So we are meeting next week for a similar video. So stay on this channel for more. Please subscribe and make sure you hit that bell behind the subscribe button. So thank you very much. The name is Las Ambuz. So thank you.